Today, December 12th, something is happening to him. Something that goes far beyond his conscious will, that overrides any rational decision he ever tried to make about the two of you. Right now, as you listen to this, he may be feeling an inexplicable restlessness, a deep discomfort he cannot name, an inner pressure that is intensifying everything he has been trying to keep under control. And this is not a coincidence. The 1212 portal is a real energetic catalyst that especially targets the divine masculine in ways his mind cannot grasp, but his soul recognizes with surgical precision. The divine masculine does not experience energetic portals the way the feminine does, where you may feel these openings as expansion, clarity, as an invitation to rise higher. He feels them as confrontation, as pressure, as if something inside him is being forced to come up even while he's doing everything he can to keep it all buried. And the 1212 portal is particularly brutal for him, because it amplifies exactly what he is most terrified to face. The deep longing for you that he's been trying to deny. The recognition of the connection he keeps trying to rationalize as meaningless. And above all, the truth that the life he built on control and logic can no longer contain what his soul is screaming. Here is what almost nobody tells you about the 1212 portal and the divine masculine. Today, and over the next few days, he is likely to act in even more contradictory ways. He may pull away further, act colder, seem to move in the complete opposite direction from you, and you may read this as final rejection, as proof that he is not your twin flame, as a sign that you should finally give up and move on. But if you stay with this message until the end, you will understand why this intensified resistance is actually the clearest sign that the portal is working exactly as it is meant to, and why your only true responsibility right now is not to win him over, not to convince him, not to prove anything, but to do something completely different that will shift the entire energetic field between you. Before diving into what exactly is happening to him inside this portal, you need to understand why 1212 is especially significant for twin flame connections. In the study of the human psyche, there are moments when the collective unconscious becomes more active, more present, more able to influence our conscious reality. Dates like 1212 carry a numerical symmetry that resonates with something deep in the human psyche, something that transcends culture, religion, and personal belief. It is not superstition. It is a recognition that there are archetypal patterns that activate at specific times, and 1212 represents a portal of completion before transformation, the last moment of one phase before something new has to be born. For the divine masculine who has been resisting his connection with his twin flame, this portal functions like a point where his soul stops negotiating with his ego and begins to demand movement, change, and radical honesty. The masculine has been conditioned for generations to believe that his strength lies in control, in his ability to rationally decide what he wants and doesn't want, in keeping his emotions under tight command. When he recognizes you as his twin flame, even if that recognition is unconscious, something in him immediately senses that this connection has the power to dismantle the entire structure of control he has spent his life building. And this is not romantic for him in the way it might be for you. It is terrifying. It is as if he looks at you and sees, at the exact same time, his greatest possibility of fulfillment and his greatest threat of ego annihilation. When the 1212 portal opens, this double perception intensifies to the point of becoming almost unbearable. He can no longer pretend he doesn't feel, but he also cannot allow himself to fully feel. He ends up stuck in a psychological limbo where everything inside him is at war. The soul pulling in one direction, the ego pulling in the opposite, and the result is behavior that, from your perspective, looks cruel, confusing, or simply impossible to understand. What you need to really take in about this inner war he is going through is this. The stronger his resistance, the deeper his recognition. If he truly felt nothing, he would simply move on without conflict, without restlessness, without these contradictions you keep witnessing. It is precisely because the connection is real, because something in him knows you matter in a way that goes beyond any relationship he has ever had, that the resistance has to be that strong. His ego is fighting for its own survival, because it knows that surrendering to this connection means a symbolic death of the person he always believed himself to be, and a transformation into someone new he is not sure he has the courage to become. During the 1212 portal, this dynamic intensifies, because the spiritual pressure rises exponentially. It is as if the universe were telling his soul, this is the moment to choose. Keep denying and stay in the limited safety of everything you already know, or jump into the unknown that terrifies you but is infinitely more authentic. When a soul is confronted with a choice like this, with this level of pressure, the person's behavior in the physical world tends to become erratic, contradictory, sometimes even self-sabotaging or destructive. He may chase stronger distractions, bury himself in work, seek other relationships to try to prove to himself that you are not special, that anyone will do. And none of these actions are saying he doesn't want you. They are screaming how desperate he is not to admit how much he does. Energetically, what the Divine Masculine is going through in the 1212 portal can be described as a triple pressure. First, he is feeling his desire for you ramp up in ways he can no longer rationalize away or ignore. It might be physical attraction, emotional longing, or a sudden, inexplicable need to know how you are, what you're doing, whether you're okay. This desire invades his thoughts at the worst possible times, wakes him up in the middle of the night, pulls his focus away from things that usually hold his full attention, and the more he tries to shove it down, the stronger it returns. Second, he is facing an amplified fear that mirrors this same intensity. Fear that if he lets himself fully feel this desire, he will lose control of his life, become vulnerable in ways he has always avoided, end up needing someone in the way he has always equated with weakness. Third, he is under growing spiritual pressure to make a real choice, to stop sitting on the fence, to either step fully into the connection or fully release you so that both of you can walk your paths. These three forces pulling in different directions at the same time create an inner state of chaos he has no idea how to process. This is exactly where most women on the twin flame path make a crucial mistake. They pick up on this energetic agitation in him and interpret it as an invitation to act, to get closer, to try to make his process easier by offering reassurance, by showering love, by proving the connection is safe. But doing this is exactly what ramps up his resistance even more. Because when you move toward him energetically, when you try to rescue him from his confusion, when you offer solutions to dilemmas that are his and his alone to solve, you confirm his ego's deepest fear, that he will be swallowed up, controlled, lose his autonomy, that this connection will devour his individuality. Your attempt to help becomes the proof his ego was looking for to justify pulling back. And so the cycle repeats endlessly, you feeling you need to do more, and him feeling he needs to protect himself more. The secret that completely changes this dynamic is not about doing more. It is about becoming something radically different. When you stop trying to win him over, when you stop trying to prove the worth of the connection, when you stop offering your love like a bargaining chip to secure his presence, and instead begin to embody your own greatness, your own wholeness, your own sovereignty, something extraordinary happens in the energetic field between you. You stop being a threat to his ego, and start becoming a mirror of the possibility his soul is starving for. You no longer represent loss of control. You become a symbol of expanded potential. And this shift does not happen through what you say or do toward him, but through who you allow yourself to become in relation to yourself. In the 1212 portal, while he is under pressure to choose, you are being invited to embody. Embodiment is not an abstract concept. It is a concrete state of being in which every cell in your body, every thought in your mind, every emotion in your heart aligns with the truth that you are already complete, already whole, already magnificent. Whether he ever recognizes it or not, it is not pretending. It is not a tactic to manipulate him. It is a genuine transformation at the core of who you are. When this transformation happens, when you truly anchor yourself in this frequency of wholeness, the Divine Masculine feels it immediately. Even if you are physically apart, even if you haven't spoken in months, you are connected at a level that transcends space and time, and any significant shift in your vibrational frequency reverberates instantly in his field. What makes the 1212 portal so powerful is that it opens a window of time in which changes that would normally take months can unfold in days. It is as if the veil between the physical world and the energetic world thins out, allowing inner shifts to manifest outwardly with unusual speed. This means that if you do the inner work now, if you use this portal to truly root yourself in your own sovereignty, to genuinely choose yourself as your top priority, to honestly release the need for him to validate your worth, the results can show up in your reality much faster than you expect. But that requires you to stop focusing on him altogether and turn all of your focus back to yourself, not as a strategy, but as a lived truth. Be brutally honest with yourself. Where has your energy really been? How many times a day do you think about him? How often do you check whether he saw your stories, liked a post, left any kind of sign that he's still watching? How many imaginary conversations do you replay in your mind, rehearsing what you would say if he reached out? Every moment you spend energetically orbiting around him is a moment you are not standing in your own center of power. And the paradox is that the more you orbit around him, the less magnetic you become. The more you return to your own axis, the more irresistible you become. Not because you are using seduction techniques, but because you are emanating the frequency of someone who knows her own value, who does not need external validation to feel complete, who has built a life so rich and meaningful that someone would have to be truly extraordinary to add to it. The divine masculine is unconsciously waiting for this moment. He is waiting to feel that you no longer need him to feel whole. Only when he feels that can he approach without fearing. He will be pulled into a vortex of emotional need. Only when he recognizes that you are already complete can he begin to consider surrendering to the connection without feeling like he is losing himself in the process. The 1212 portal pushes this dynamic to the extreme. If you use this moment to finally, truly, completely come back to yourself, he will feel that shift like an internal earthquake. He will sense that something fundamental has changed in the energetic field between you. And even if his conscious mind doesn't understand what happened, unconsciously he will start to move differently. But you must also understand that this change in him may not look positive at first. He may seem even more confused, more agitated, more prone to erratic behavior, because now he is not only dealing with the internal pressure of the portal, he is also feeling that you have changed, that you are no longer energetically available in the way you used to be, that something precious is slipping through his fingers. This realization creates a deep panic. His ego may try to pull you back into the old pattern, may poke at you to get a reaction, may suddenly reappear after a long silence, may make moves that look promising on the surface but are really just attempts to regain control of the situation. This is where many women fall back into the trap. They interpret any movement from him as a sign that he is finally ready, and they rush back into their old role of total availability, total focus on him, total hope that, this time it will be different. And the moment they do this, all the transformation they had been building collapses. What the 1212 portal is asking from you is not a temporary performance of indifference until he comes back. It is asking for a permanent transformation of who you are, of how you relate to your own life, of where you place your value and identity. This is the difference between acting a part and becoming a new person. That transformation only happens when you finally accept that he may never be ready, that the union may never manifest in the way you imagined, that this entire journey may always have been about you finding yourself, not about you finding him. When you reach that place of deep acceptance, when you can look at that possibility without breaking apart, when you can imagine a life that is full and meaningful with or without him, something extraordinary happens. You stop living for a hypothetical future and start living fully in the present. And a fully lived present is the most magnetic frequency there is. The divine masculine in the 1212 portal is being forced to confront his own shadow, parts of himself he has always denied or repressed. He is being pushed to look at his inability to be vulnerable, at his patterns of running from real intimacy, at his deep fear of not being man enough, strong enough, capable enough to hold a connection this intense. These shadow confrontations are not comfortable, not pretty, not spiritual in the romantic sense. They are raw, confusing, and often show up as behaviors that look like regression instead of evolution. He may act more immature, more defensive, more reactive. He may look like he is getting worse, not better. And you may start to ask yourself if he is really worth waiting for when he's showing such difficult versions of himself. But here is what you must understand. This descent into his own underworld is absolutely necessary if he is ever going to emerge as the version of himself that can meet you in conscious union. He has to walk into his own psychological hell, face his ugliest demons, admit his deepest weaknesses. You cannot do this work for him. You cannot save him from this process. You cannot make it easier or faster. Your only task is to stay rooted in your own light while he walks through his darkness. You are the lighthouse, not the lifeguard. You illuminate the way without throwing yourself into his storm to drag him out. And that demands a level of strength far beyond what most people picture when they romanticize twin flame union. The 1212 portal is activating very specific aspects in both of you that must be integrated before union is truly possible. In him, it activates everything related to vulnerability, surrender, and accepting that he does not have total control over his life. In you, it activates everything around sovereignty, boundaries, and your refusal to abandon yourself for any connection, no matter how sacred it appears. These activations are complementary. They are preparing both of you for a form of union that transcends conventional relationship patterns. But they have to happen first on an individual level, inside each of you, before you can meet in a healthy relational field. Trying to force union before these individual integrations are mature is a guarantee of creating a dynamic that is toxic, codependent, and ultimately destructive for both. So what do you actually do right now in this 12-12 portal, as you feel that something is happening, as you sense the intensity in the air, as you maybe receive signs from him, or, on the contrary, feel an even deeper silence? You choose yourself, radically, definitively, completely. Not as a tactic, not as a last resort after trying everything else, but as the recognition that you have always been the answer you were looking for. You were the one who needed to save you, to love you, to complete you. He was never meant to be the savior. He was always the mirror, the catalyst, the trigger that pushed you to look at parts of yourself you were avoiding. Now that you have looked, now that you have seen, now that you know, your responsibility is to integrate, to heal, to transform. And to do it not for him, not to get him back, but for you, and because of you. Practically speaking, this means that in the coming days, every time you catch yourself thinking about him, you firmly but gently bring your attention back to yourself. Every time you feel the urge to check his socials, stalk his profile, look for a sign, you choose instead to invest that energy in something that actually nourishes you. Every time your mind starts fantasizing about how it would be if you were together, you redirect that creative energy into building something real in your life right now. This is not about repressing how you feel or denying your love. It is about consciously refusing to feed patterns that keep you trapped in a fantasy future, instead of fully inhabiting your present. Each time you make that choice, you emit a different frequency. You stop broadcasting lack and start radiating abundance. You stop radiating waiting and start radiating presence. And those energetic shifts are not subtle to him. Even if he lives in another city, another state, even another country, even if you have no contact at all, he feels it, registers it, responds to it, even if only on an unconscious level. The 12-12 portal will stay active for a short window, creating an opening for accelerated transformation. But that window does not stay open forever. There comes a moment when it closes, when the energy drops back to normal levels, when the chance to catalyze rapid change passes. You can use this window in two ways. You can spend it obsessing over him, trying to psychically check on him, trying to feel whether he's thinking about you, whether he's moving toward you. Or you can use it to do the most important work of your life. Finally, fully, irrevocably choosing yourself as your highest priority. That means establishing not only external boundaries but also internal ones. Deciding what kind of love you are available for and what kind you are not. Building a life so meaningful, so rich, so vibrant that if he shows up, he will have to be truly extraordinary to add anything to it. And here is a truth very few people are willing to speak out loud. He may never show up. The union may never look the way you imagined. This whole journey may have always been about bringing you back home to yourself, not to him. When you can hold that possibility without shattering, when you can look straight at it and still choose to live fully, to love deeply, to pour yourself into your own life, you reach a level of spiritual maturity that transcends any need for an external union to feel complete. And ironically, paradoxically, mysteriously, it is usually exactly when you get to that place that union finally becomes possible. Because now you don't need it. You would only choose it if it genuinely adds value to the fullness you already are. The divine masculine is feeling the 12-12 portal as a direct call from his own soul to stop living at the surface and dive into depth. To stop choosing what is merely safe and start choosing what is true. To stop hiding behind socially acceptable masks and start showing who he really is. That call is terrifying for him because it asks for a symbolic death of the identity he has built. It asks him to admit he is not as strong as he pretends to be. That he has fears and insecurities like every other human being. That he needs deep connection even if he spent years convincing himself that needing anyone is weakness. He can only answer that call when he feels there is a safe space where he can be fully seen, flaws and all. And that safe space is not created by you shrinking, over-adapting, or accepting crumbs. It is created by you becoming so strong, so whole, so anchored in your own truth, that he knows he can bring all of who he is, including the broken parts, without fearing he will crush you in the process. So in the 1212 portal, while he is being pushed to face everything he has always avoided, you are being invited to become the force that can hold space for that transformation without losing yourself in it. Not as his mother, not as his therapist, but as his equal. Someone who has also done her own shadow work, who has also faced her own demons, who has also had to choose between safety and truth, and chose truth even while shaking. You can only be that force if you have done the work, if you have truly looked at your own shadows, your own wounds, your own patterns, if you have truly chosen to heal instead of merely coping, to transform instead of just compensating. This work is not linear, not simple, not something you do once, and then you're done. It is a lifelong commitment to keep growing, to keep evolving, to keep becoming more and more of who you really are. If you have made it this far and felt that every word was speaking directly to your soul, if you recognized your own journey in this description, if you understood that the 1212 portal is not about him finally choosing you, but about you finally, truly choosing yourself, then you are ready for the next step. And that next step is no longer about waiting, overthinking, or decoding his every move. It is about taking action toward yourself with the same intensity you've always invested in him. It is about investing in your own growth, your own healing, your own transformation. It is about doing the inner work that no video, no reading, no outside advice can ever do for you. To support you in that, there are deep materials created specifically to guide you through this process of individuation and emotional sovereignty, inspired by the depth psychology of Carl Jung that so many modern therapists and shadow work practitioners draw from today. A structured 21 days of transformation journey to help you integrate your shadow, set healthy boundaries, and build an identity that no longer depends on external validation. And a second, more practical guide for those days when the path feels impossible to walk, when you feel tempted to betray yourself and fall back into old patterns of chasing, waiting, or making yourself small. These resources are linked in the first pinned comment and in the top of the description, as practical tools to hold your hand while you do the most important work of your life. Now, there is something you need to declare if you truly understood what was shared here. Go to the comments and write, "I choose my own greatness." This affirmation is not just a pretty sentence. It is an energetic declaration that you understand your journey has never been about winning him, but about winning yourself back, about becoming the woman you were born to be, about embodying your essence fully, without fear, without shame, without shrinking to fit inside the spaces others offer you. When you make that declaration and then actually live from that place, when you choose your own greatness above any potential union, you become magnetic in ways that go far beyond any manifestation technique. The 1212 portal is open now. The energy is here. The opportunity for accelerated transformation is right in front of you. But it will not last forever. There is a window, and that window will close. During this time, you can keep focusing on him, waiting for signs from him, trying to feel what is happening in his world. Or you can use it to do the work only you can do, to step into the transformation only you can complete, to make the choice only you can make. Choosing yourself does not mean giving up on him. It means finally understanding that you never needed him to be whole, that you have always been whole, always enough, always magnificent. He was just the mirror that forced you to look at parts of yourself you had been ignoring. Now that you have looked, now that you have seen, your responsibility is to honor what you discovered by choosing to live from that truth. Thank you for having the courage to stay until the end, for being willing to consider that maybe everything you tried up to now was actually pulling you away from what you truly wanted, and that the path to union does not run through conquering him, but through becoming so fully yourself that he cannot help but recognize the greatness that was always there. The portal is open, the energy is available, but only you can decide what you will do with it. Thank you for being here. See you in the next video.